we love our situation. We're always trying to celebrate the uniqueness of this town, and what we want people that come visit to, what we want them to understand is that we've got freighters, but we are way more than big boats.
Right, and the great thing about bringing groups of people together, or bringing, like sending it out there that we're going to have like hiking groups or running groups or, paddle groups, whatever the case may be, is that you bring people from different competencies, from different areas that bring different experiences and educate others to create new experiences with what we have locally. So you can celebrate what we have.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Total Michigan. I'm your host, Cliff Duvinois. I'm continuing my series up in Sault Ste Marie, and with it being summertime and it's Michigan, and all we can think about is getting outdoors and enjoying nature. And there's two people that if you come to Sault Ste Marie that you absolutely have to meet and put on your list of places to go. Today we're talking with Ken and Wilda Hopper from Bird's Eye Outfitters in Sault Ste Marie. Ken, Wilda, how are you?
Wonderful. Thank you.
Feeling great.
Excellent.
Yeah, doing great.
So, Ken, tell us a little bit about where you're from and where you grew up.
I am native to Sault Ste. Marie. I grew up here, born and raised here, moved away, went to college, traveled a lot. Got
Where'd
a lot
you go
of
to
airline
college?
miles. I went to Central Michigan University.
Oh, okay.
And they would expect me at that point in time to say, fire up. So fire up.
Nice. What did you study?
Oh, God. I think I walked away with a couple of undergrad degrees and a master's degree in field biology, outdoor recreation. So
okay.
It works out.
Well, I know you got a love for nature, and we're definitely going to explore that. Wilda, why don't you tell us where you're from, where you grew up?
Okay, so, born in New York City, Long Island, and moved to Fort Myers, Florida.
Okay.
And then moved up to Michigan. So through my college, I guess in my high school years, I was a nanny up here, would come up for the summers, fell in love with this area, and came to college up here. So it was awesome. Loved it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when you said that you got a nanny position up here, were you looking to come to the UP, or were you just like,
no,
I want the exact opposite of Long Island?
No, actually, okay, so the nanny position came about because I went to church with a couple who had kids, and they had a cabin up here and needed someone to help out with kids in the summer. So I was absolutely ready to adventure up north. So
Beautiful. And
Yeah.
then, of course, I'm going to assume that you guys met here.
yes,
Yep.
we did.
How did you guys meet?
Well, not at Bird's Eye. We created that.
Yes. Yeah.
We both worked for the same organization, Bay Mills Indian Community, which
Okay.
is 20 miles west of here. I was running a Boys and Girls Club, and she was working in human resources, and I don't know. Somebody probably reported me to human resources. And, no, I'm kidding. Well, I think we had an interaction about a gymnastics program that we wanted to start out there.
Okay.
So that was the first initial one. And then I asked her if she wanted to buy my car. And then,
Oh, there's a first date,
I worked with the legal department, risk management out there.
right?
So it was an interesting meetup, and we just started chatting.
And there you go.
She's
And the
very
rest-
influential.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about the creation of Bird's Eye. What was your initial thought, like coming into it? What is Bird's Eye?
So, okay, here's something interesting. So Ken did a lot of West Coast adventuring before I met him, and I did a lot of East Coast adventuring before I met him. So
when you talk about adventuring, what does that mean?
So I guess he can speak to his experiences, but he went to like Colorado, California, like hiking, I think, and all kinds of, fun outdoorsy adventures, and was very avid kayaker.
A lot of backpacking.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm more of like paddleboarding and being on the beach and the Adirondacks, like hiking the Adirondacks. So I did a lot of like East Coast adventures, through my experiences with college friends and
Right.
family. And so when we came together in Sault Ste. Marie, like one of the things I noticed when I first came here is like there aren't a lot of people like getting outside. So a lot of people would talk about Marquette and Petoskey and all the other places that they could go, or even like Sioux, Ontario, like in Canada, because
Right.
they're space is incredible over there as well. So the realization was that people weren't comfortable getting outside on their own, and they didn't know what to pack, how to experience an outdoor adventure. Like, what kind of backpack, what type of gear do I have? What type of apparel?
It would seem so simple to some people, like, well, you just go. Right.
But,
just
a pair of tennis shoes. And
what we learned through observation as well as research is, people as a whole are apprehensive to participate in something they are not familiar with. Right. So you've got to find a way to bridge that chasm. You got to educate, right? So that's one piece. And then another one would be, in order for them to have a good experience, you have to make them comfortable.
Right.
So those two things, so we wanted to provide good gear for people. We wanted to provide those one-on-one opportunities and also the guided experiences. So there is some hand-holding, but, we want to see people take it upon themselves to get the initiative to go. And one thing that we found out that we'll probably delve into later is you need the infrastructure in a community.
Right.
In order to have these outdoor opportunities, not a lot of people are into bushwhacking, which is going in just, uncharted areas of the woods where they have to fight through branches and whatnot.
Right.
They want recreational facilities provided for them to get them outside and get them close to the
start
nature.
off small, right? You start off small.
And we started seeing that in the area, that there was this lack of infrastructure for these specific recreational opportunities. And so in combination with the store, how were we going to get there? And so that's when we decided to develop a not-for-profit that was to develop, maintain, and promote non-motorized trails in our area, whether they be water trails or cross-country ski trails or snowshoe or hiking or biking or whatever it is.
So you're doing all those sports.
Right, right. And bringing groups of people together that are like-minded to kind of like even to feed off of each other, to educate each other, to help each other
There's
out.
Strength and that's what we see. So we started forming clubs too. Like we've got a running club that comes out of here. We're going to get another biking, a paddling club, because we're not all the same. There are people that are more comfortable doing these activities on their own, but I think a majority of us like to have a shared experience. Let's go for a paddle, and then afterwards, let's not just split off. Let's go to Birdseye and have a beer and talk about, today's activities or what we saw.
Yeah. Look at our selfies.
Debrief.
Right.
Debrief.
Right. And the great thing about bringing groups of people together, or bringing, like sending it out there that we're going to have like hiking groups or running groups or, paddle groups, whatever the case may be, is that you bring people from different competencies, from different areas that bring different experiences, and educate others to create new experiences with what we have locally. So you can celebrate what we have.
Oh, this is beautiful. So let's run down the list of outdoor activities that you guys are currently involved in.
Oh, let's see. Mowing the lawn. I did that last night.
Outdoor.
All right, I walked into that one. I totally admit it.
11 p.m. No. So we participate in whatever avenue we can. Like we work with the university. I teach backpacking up there. We teach paddle sports, cross-country skiing, snowshoeing. So we have that involvement with the local university.
And you actually have that gear here available. At Birdseye.
And we've really, people have come out of the woodwork, like-minded people that they see our passion and they want to be involved in it and share their knowledge with people too. So, organically, a couple of people we know just said, hey, we're going to promote women hiking, women backpacking. And we want to do a class here and do a progressive hiking series or something like that. So, I know I'm going away from your original question, but when these things come up, I think it's important to talk about it because it isn't just Wilda and I, there's a shell here, but it takes a lot more people to have a paradigm shift within a community. And I think we're just kind of in the midst of it right now.
So definitely like hiking. So hiking, and then in the wintertime, organically, that transforms into like snowshoeing. So we've actually been doing for the past like 3 years, lantern lit snowshoe hikes, which that brings families out.
That would be cool.
Oh yeah, it brings families out, right? It creates a night for an adventure with kids, and people are getting outdoors, they're moving. So
all the snow hung up in the trees is like a great insulator, which, you know, if you probably couldn't even hear a blender in the background in the woods in the winter.
Speaking of which.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this question here. So I get that you want to get people out and get them to experience nature, and that there was this, this void in Sault Ste. Marie to make that happen. But why is that important to you? I mean, why not just sit there and say, you know what, let's just enjoy this ourselves? Why is it important for you to get people out?
Health.
To enjoy it. Health.
Health in every aspect. Mental health, spiritual, emotional health, physical health, because aside from just, bringing people out on adventures, and like we actually also, are certified to do stand-up paddleboard lessons, kayak lessons. Like we do hiking 101.
Right.
Aside from that, we also are unique in our area that we offer a lot of like cleaner food options. And by cleaner, we mean like non-dairy, non-gluten options, things that people are looking for, foods that are highly nutrient dense,
right? That
give you energy, and that are just all around healthy for you. So, we have that love, that passion for health and wellness.
Ultimately, it has to be about other people, right? Like, why would we do it? Like, we all know McDonald's. Can I say that? There's a certain fast food restaurant.
That shall remain nameless.
Yeah. All of them. Like, they're in the business of making money, right? They don't really care about you and what you put in your system and your health.
Right.
And there's different mindsets. Like, yeah, it's your choice whether you go there or not. But a lot of it's budget based. So, I mean, we could be delving into other waters here, but we care. We want people to care about themselves and their physical and mental and spiritual health. And it isn't through just experimentation in our experiences. Like we research these things. Like, she is a volume of knowledge when it comes to gut health and how what goes into your body affects all of everything that's connected, and
which I imagine impacts your menu.
It does.
That's here.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And I'm concerned about, like, Wilda and I have 6 kids together, so watching them.
We're gonna have a lot of grandkids.
Yes, you are. Be fruitful and multiply.
Well, watching them grow up and thinking about yourself when you're younger and the struggles they go through, and watching them try to handle life and everything that's thrown at them. If you have a safe place that you can go to, there are research papers showing that we're losing our connection with nature, and it's having some mental health effects to us as a community.
And physical, like physical and mental.
We need to get people back in touch with something that we need to be in touch with. Like I'm an ecologist at heart. It's all everything working together. There's a symbiosis that has to happen, and we're trying to separate ourselves from that. Why? To make things convenient. We don't. It's watching a sunset or hiking through the woods and not hearing the noise of a city it's a spiritual experience, I guess,
Right.
It's disconnecting from the things that you don't have to always stay connected to or be connected to.
Disconnecting from the wrong things.
Airplane mode. This is what we need. Airplane mode. Yes.
I love that. I was just thinking, disconnect from your phone, connect with nature. Right.
Yes.
We're disconnecting with the wrong things. That's my opinion, but
right.
I think it's backed up with some research.
Certainly. For our audience, we're going to take a quick break to thank our sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Ken and Wilda about how you can make the most out of your experience with Birdseye. We'll see you after the break. Hey, if you are enjoying these great interviews, just take a moment and go to totalmichigan.com/join, and you can get these episodes sent directly to your inbox, because there's a lot more great stories coming. See you there. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Total Michigan. I'm your host, Cliff Duvenois. Today, I'm sitting with Ken and Wilda Hopper from Birdseye Outfitters in Sault Ste Marie, and we are talking about all kinds of activities outdoors that they do. Now, before you were mentioning about kayaking and snowshoeing and hiking and stuff, one of the events that we did today, before we filmed this, is we went kayaking through the Soo Locks, which I didn't even know you could do.
Oh, yeah.
So kudos to that. So talk to us. Where did that idea come from?
When I worked in Bay Mills, I would take teenagers out that on adventures. So these are teenagers that were needing something to do. So I'd bring them backpacking, and I'd bring them on all these different opportunities that they wouldn't normally have, right? So we had the equipment, and then from that, we started a Boys and Girls Club, and it's still running operation, a couple sites today. Excuse me. And one of the trips, I found out that the Canadian Lock took pleasure craft through, and I just called over there and said, can I bring a canoe through?
Right.
You know? And so we had a fleet of canoes, and we're at the club, or we called it Adventure Camp at that time, I think, wasn't it?
Okay.
So and then we left from the airport on the Canadian side and paddled our canoes all along the coastline, all the way to Bellevue Park on the Canadian side. And we started on the Canadian side, went through the lock, and then it was a great experience. Like, kids talked about it, the other chaperones talked about it, said, oh my God, what a great thing. And so we started looking at maps and how we could leave from American side and end up on the American side. And then we brought some professionals that teach kayaking all over the world, and they happen to be in Lansing, Michigan. They're called the Power of Water. Trey, shout out to Trey. They came up, trained guides, and went through the trip with us to see how it would work out. And they brought some really trained people and just really went through the whole trip with a fine-tooth comb and came back with their recommendations, and deemed it as a trip that would be doable. And it ended up, you went on it today. It was pretty
incredible.
cool trip.
And I love kayaking. So that was really great. So for our audience, why don't you walk us through like what the kayak trip would entail? Like, how do we go into the locks? What are some things that you can expect when you get in there?
Sure. I like to, we'll get a booking, and I'll personally reach out and say, weather looks good, weather looks bad. We err to the side of safety. Wilda mentioned she was a risk manager in the past, and we want to keep people safe. Like,
definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
As you increase your skills in the kayaking community, it becomes a pretty small group of people that talk about the industry.
Right.
And there are groups of there's kayaking organizations that businesses that like to pump people through, and they get criticized, and we're not one of those. We look out for your safety. So,
and we appreciate that.
At the start, I'm saying this is why we use these boats. This is why you have to wear this. This is what this is for. And we go through a little 101 before we take anybody out. And when I reach out, I ask if anybody has any kayaking experience, usually via text, and they'll
So this is
feedback.
for all levels. Like, you don't even have to be an experienced kayaker.
I think we prefer that you have some experience.
Some experience. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see, so we're talking about, 5 miles of paddling. So we could be out for 3 hours, depending on the speed of the paddler. You only go as fast as your slowest paddler in any group. So, there's been situations where I've not gone on a trip, and we had talked today about, like, when do you not try? And I look at wind, speed, and direction, and the current of the water, and how much the dams that control the rapids are open. So there's a lot into our decision making, and ultimately, if we cancel a trip, I mean, you should be disappointed you didn't get to go on the trip, but leave some flexibility in your schedule, because from day to day in the Upper Peninsula, or any Michigander knows, the
weather can change on a dime.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, definitely.
And it has. And so people have been disappointed, and I brought them out to, like, the launch point, and we've looked out at the water and they've felt the wind away from the city and the buildings and stuff. And they're like, okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Because you want to have a good experience, not an experience where, you're skydiving basically and worried about what might happen and trying to correct yourself and just not focus on points of interest, but on your own well-being.
Right.
So,
so we launch off the kayaks, we're out into the water. And then when we come up to the locks, what happens next?
So the first part of the tour is the launch point, and we talk about some local highlights, historical aspects, and there's usually some bird life, and I'm a bird nerd, so when we first start out, I like to talk about what's there, and then you're right after that, you're cutting across the face of the locks, the American locks.
Sure.
And there's hazards, there's boat traffic, there's
you got to keep your eyes peeled.
We don't play chicken with 1,000-foot freighters because
let's not.
You're not going to win that one.
Yeah,
and their braking systems aren't as good, and their turning radius is really large also. So we watch out for them. And then you make your way across all that, and you're in what was formerly the rapids area. Historically, if the locks weren't there on either side, the rapids would stretch from the Canadian shore to the American shore. And we saw what's the remains of the rapids, and it's just awesome to look at, right? So we're on the upper end of that. And then we approach the Canadian lock. We call ahead, let them know that we're coming. And their lock system is not so much for commerce, where the American lock system is. The Canadian lock system is for recreational craft and people that want to travel from the upper river to the lower river or vice versa. So then we enter the canal. We let them know we're coming. They give us feedback, say, okay, it'll be 15 minutes to fill the lock. And then we enter it. And then we deck our boats together, tie off, and we lower 21 feet. What did it take today? Like 8 minutes or something?
Yeah, it was super fast. Yeah, because you're talking about
valves are working.
You're talking about going into the actual lock, right? So they open up the doors, you go inside.
They open up the gates, and at one point in time, this was the longest lock in the world. So it's not like your clamshell locks you'll see in smaller river systems.
Right.
It's and to even say we're on the St. Mary's River, and once you get out in the open water, it's a lake. I mean, it seems like a lake. It's a very large river. So we get into the Canadian lock, and then we get lowered down, and then it's a great experience. At 1 minute, you're talking to the guy on the edge of the lock wall, and then the next minute,
because you're up high.
Yep.
Right. So you can see them, and then within, like you said, it felt like 10 minutes. You could feel the level.
Yep.
Going down inside the kayak.
They pull the plug out of the bathtub.
Yeah, so to speak. Yeah.
So then you drop down, and
the 21 feet.
21 feet. Yep. So you're talking about two different lake levels. Lake Superior is 21 feet higher than Lake Huron, Lake Michigan. And then you've got the whole St. Mary's River to make that up, but 21 feet gets made up right here at Sault Ste. Marie. So then when we're on the lower river, you see the gates open up in front of you, and then everybody makes the universal sound that angels make, or we assume they do, because it happens on every trip, and it remained the case today. So then we exit the lock, and we're still in what would be known as Canadian waters. And we skirt the Canadian shoreline, and then we cut across the base of the rapids, and you can feel the force of the water when you're cutting across it. And it's just, you know how small you are. And then we cut across there over to the American side, going across the lower part of the locks. And we go by the Museum Ship Valley Camp, and we'll get some snapshots on the rudder of that. Like, this is how close we got to a freighter on our trip.
Yes.
And then at that, today it was cool because you were over there, and then in the backdrop, you had a freighter going upbound, and then 1,000-foot freighter that was moving at a pretty good pace right behind you, going downriver. So these are the things that are, and then amongst all that, and so after the Valley Camp, we go in front of what would be the end of the man-made canal that cuts through the city. And so you've got a confluence of waters there, the current that goes downstream and the current that cuts in there, and then you got swirling waters. But this hydroelectric plant that we have in town is very impressive. It's a 1/4 mile long, hand-cut sandstone. At one point in time, the largest hydroelectric plant in the world. And in the backdrop, you've got Canada, Sugar Island, and it's a great backdrop. It ends up being a really nice trip.
It is. It's awesome. One of the things that I would like to explore with you, you mentioned before about nonprofit, and you were actually talking a little bit about it too during the break. Why don't you talk to us about this nonprofit, what it is, what do you hope to do with it?
I'm going to let Wilda do that because I'm tired of talking right now.
Well, our nonprofit is called Outhouse Consortium. So OUT is an acronym for Outdoor Use of Trails. And the reason why we put it together is because we wanted to create trail systems. Like, we looked at the Soo and we're like, we're lacking a little bit of infrastructure. So we wanted to get people outdoors and hiking and doing all kinds of fun things, but we didn't have the infrastructure. So I think, so initially we have to like help develop the infrastructure so that we can really promote the activities that we're wanting to have, like in the Soo system. So we did create a trail behind a local trail behind Buffalo Wild Wings in our Ashman Creek area, which is about 300 acres of land, city-owned property. Yeah, and we partnered with Little Traverse Conservancy to help us secure some land within that area so that we can, create trail systems. Now, the trail systems that we are going to create there are, or we actually have already created a couple of hiking trails, and we're looking to create a biking trail system. So, and then we're also looking to create bike trails like within the city, and then water trail systems within along our shores, so that we have people can get out safely in different areas of the St. Mary's River. We already do guided trips like around at Rotary Island. So Rotary Island Park, there's a little cluster of islands that are fantastic, and one of the islands is called Voyager Island, and we actually helped to create a trail system on Voyager Island, but you can only get there by kayak.
Oh, wonderful!
It makes it really awesome and unique, and so that's getting people moving.
The 300-acre project, I think we're dancing around it a little bit because it's not there; it's just in creation. But if we could paint a picture, we have a company out of Houghton called Rock Solid, and Rock Solid, we come to find out, works all over the nation. He was talking about jobs he was doing in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas, and all. And we walked this property last week, so everything's really fresh right now. But they're going to be doing our conceptual drawings so that we can better communicate to the public the potential of this piece of property that is going to serve as a hub.
Okay.
So it's not only going to be recreation, it's going to be transit. So you talk about benefits of trail systems, and you're going back to talking about mental health and physical health and keeping people safe so they're not on the shoulder of the road and they can still get from point A to point B. Beyond that, the recreational aspect is, walking with the guy, John from Rock Solid. He is thinking that we'll probably end up with, over 10 miles of mountain bike trail within our city limits.
Oh, wow.
With our university, like, as one of the trailheads.
It's wild to know that you have that topography here within the city.
I would have never known.
But it's fantastic.
We love our situation. We're always trying to celebrate the uniqueness of this town, and what we want people that come visit to, what we want them to understand is that we've got freighters, but we are way more than big boats. We've got a playground up here. We've got a national forest with thousands of acres. We've got a sister city, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, the population of around 80,000 people. And then you drive an hour north there and you're in such a different environment because the Canadian Shield, some of the oldest exposed rock formations on the planet, are right there, and they've got these beautiful vistas overlooking Lake Superior and sunsets. And I know I explained kind of the mentality before. People are going to be mad at me for telling everybody how beautiful and great this place is, because that means we're going to get flooded with people. And some of the mentality around here, which I may share, is we like it. We like the space. We like, having not crowded roads and being able to jump off into the woods or get away from people in 5 minutes.
We are surrounded in Chippewa County. We are surrounded by fantastic trail systems. So it's not just like within our city limit. We've got like Round Island Point, which is just west of us. That's like a short, like 10, 15-minute drive.
Bay Mills, you've got the overlook.
Yep, Monocle.
You're overlooking 2 inland lakes. Basically the funnel of where the east end of Lake Superior is and the St. Mary's River starts, and you're looking at cliff sides of Gros Cap over in Ontario from this overlook that not many people know about.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's hidden gems all over here, and
right. And then and right beyond that is the North Country Trail System. So you can connect so many different trail systems just from Sault Ste. Marie.
Right. The longest trail in the United States cuts right through here. Yep. The North Country Trail is longer than the Appalachian. It's longer than the Pacific Crest. So it's the longest one. It goes from Maine to Montana or New York to North Dakota. It's one of those two.
So when we were talking about the lantern-lit snowshoe hikes earlier, so we started those to get people to see the trail systems within the Ashman Creek area. So kind of to promote that area. So we actually we created our own trail system. We blazed it. But that in and of itself, like the lantern-lit snowshoe hikes are what helped create awareness for what we have here. So that gained a lot of momentum to the point where, the city actually started paying attention. And now they are huge advocates and partners with our organization to help make the Ashman Creek project come to fruition.
I think it's just a special group of people. Our board is very involved, very dynamic, and they understand the value of their volunteer time. They know that it's going towards a project that is feasible and B, pretty awesome.
Right.
So in our mantra over the last few months, because a lot of things are we're moving forward and we're seeing that progress in a shorter time frame than we expected. So the mantra we've had over the last few months has been, our purpose of this whole trail system and this effort at Ashman Creek is to connect the community.
Right.
So connecting the community in different aspects. So physically, we're connecting the community through the trail systems. And if I want to get from one part of town to the other, eventually that's going to be the case, right? You're going to have all the parks will be connected. You could make a loop around the whole city eventually via hiking and then hop in a kayak and complete the loop on the St. Mary's River.
Nice. That's wonderful. And I do want to circle back because this caught my attention when you said it, the biking part. So is this something that you're currently doing, or is it something that's like in the works, you're getting ready to release? When is that?
Okay, so we in our business, yeah, we brought in Foxhole Bike and Ski. So they are another business within our business. God bless you.
Thank you.
Within our business, and they are they have the same mindset as us. So they actually jumped on our outhouse board, and they're going to have bikes that are going to be available to rent. They obviously right now, as you look around our store, they're selling their bikes.
Yes,
we have fat bikes, we have gravel grinders, mountain bikes, road bikes, kid bikes, family friendly, everything family friendly. We are going to start a biking club so that families can bring their kids out maybe on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning. And then actually once a week as well, to also create awareness for the safety of cycling, because many people, especially young kids, don't know the safety aspects of cycling, especially in the city. So, Yeah, and then they're actually in partnership with us to help create these bike lanes and these bike routes.
Wonderful.
And on top of that, we have the Sioux Area Arts Center, who is looking at getting these grant fundings for like asphalt art, where we can highlight the bicycle lanes and routes locally, so that it keeps people safe. Because what we're seeing is, like, as you're driving down the road, you'll see vehicles like kind of like driving in bicycle lane areas, and it's just, that's not safe. So
right.
we thought, how could we highlight that these are bicycle lanes, and so Sioux Area Arts Center is partnering with us, and we will have like asphalt art that will highlight our bicycle lanes to keep people safe.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So Ken, Wilda, we could talk about this all afternoon. Yeah. So the question now I got for you is that if somebody's listening to this interview, they want to check out what it is that you're doing, check out more about your business. Maybe they're planning a trip up here to the Sioux and they want to connect with you. What's the best place to send them to?
Oh, we've got...
You mean via web?
Sure.
birdseyeoutfitters.com.
Yeah, Bird's Eye Outfitters.
And then there's a website for the nonprofit as well. It's outhouseconsortium.org.
Yeah.
Consortium is spelled. Outhouse is, most people got that. Consortium is CONSORTIUM. Outhouse Consortium.
That's why there's Google out there.
Yeah. Otherwise, send them to 107 East Portage, Bird's Eye Outfitters.
Nice. You can't miss it.
Yeah, downtown.
Perfect. Ken, Wilda, thank you so much for taking time to be with us today and talking about the great things you're doing. I love that kayak experience.
Great.
That is awesome.
Glad you had fun.
Next time, we're going to do it on a paddleboard.
Yes, paddleboard. Definitely have to do that. For our audience, you can always roll on over to totalmichigan.com, click on Ken and Wilda's interview, and you'll get all the links that they mentioned above. We'll see you next week when we have another story of ordinary Michiganders doing some pretty extraordinary things. We'll see you then.